and welcome to Hips and Hamstrings. We're going to be spending the next 20 minutes or so stretching out our hips and our hamstrings. Today, we will start standing. So when you're ready, meet me on the mat. All right, stand up nice and tall. Just feel the connection of your feet to the ground. And if it helps, you can close your eyes, just focusing on your breathing we're just going to do a couple deep breaths. But with every inhale, I want you to get a little bit taller. And with every exhale, I want those muscles in your body to just relax a little bit more. One more. Good. And then we're going to fold forward at the hips. And just bring your hands to wherever they reach. If they reach the floor, great. If you're only at your knees, that's fine too. You also have some props available. So if you need your block, use it. I'm going to keep the legs straight for just a few moments. Breathe again. Focus on the exhale as you exhale. See if your body can once again just melt down. All those muscles just melting and giving way into this stretch. Then bend your knees a little bit. So you're in more of like this crouched down position. And again, wherever your hands are is fine. And then as you exhale in this next one, I want you to lengthen up through the legs by pushing your tush up towards the ceiling. Come back to straight legs. And then come back down into the little crouch position. And press through those heels. Lift the tush towards the ceiling. Straighten those legs. Do that a couple more times. Last one here. Good, and then roll yourself up your spine. Use those belly muscles to stack your spine up. One vertebrae at a time. Walk your feet wide. And once again, we're going to fold forward at the hips. As you're folding forward, just be aware of your tush going back. We want to try to keep it right here as we fold forward, although we might not get there today. Once again, bring your hands wherever they reach on the floor. You can hold your calves, or if you need your prop. And holding this, exhale, melt those muscles. Just let them melt into the stretch. And once again, bend your knees. If you would like to turn your feet out a little bit, if that makes the bending of the knees feel better, definitely feel free to do that. So bend the knees into that crouch position. And once again, lift the tush towards the ceiling, straighten those legs. And bend. And stretch it up. And last one. And walk your feet in. So turn your toes and turn your heels in. Turn your toes and turn your heels in until you're back to about hips distance apart. Roll back up your spine. Good. All right, we're going to fold forward at the hips again. And we won't be here long, so move your prop out of the way. Take your left foot forward. And then press back so that left leg straightens. And at that point, if you need anything, if you need to bring the floor up to you, just use whatever you have. Blankets, towels, books. In this position, try to square your hips or keep them as square as possible. And then lunge a little bit forward so you can bend that left knee. Hands on the floor to give yourself some support, and just bring that foot back. Readjust yourself so you are hips distance apart again. And then bring the right leg forward. And then press your tush back, lengthening in that right leg. And once again, bring the floor to you if your fingers aren't reaching the floor. Square your hips. And then bend that right knee, lunge forward a little bit, and then get that right leg back. And we're in a downward dog position. So hands on the floor, tush towards the ceiling, reach those heels to the floor. If they're not touching the floor, that's okay. That's why we're here. And breathe. Bend one knee and stretch the other heel down, touch the floor, and switch. And switch. Keep going. And last one. Reach both heels back down towards the floor as close as you can get them. And then come on down to your hands and your knees. Take your right leg, lengthen it back behind you. Your toes are on the floor. And then pick that leg up just a little bit so you can bring your toes over to the other side of the left foot. Grow nice and tall through your spine. So we're reaching the crown of the head across the room and then side bend to the left. Breathe here. And then come back to center. Return your right knee right underneath your right hip. The left leg will lengthen back, and then pick that left leg up so you can put your toes over to the other side. Lengthen through the crown of your head, and then side bend, and try to look for your left foot. And then return. Press yourself back into a child's pose. Take those knees super wide so you can sink down between the hips. And let them start to open up. Focus in on your breath here because we're going to stay for a few moments. Just make those inhales and exhales last longer than you think possible. And slowly bring yourself up to sitting. All right, next up, some more hip openers. So take your blanket or your towels, and we want to try to create a nice high stack to put our pelvis up on. This is a pretty good height, so somewhere within in that range. And then you're going to sit on it and roll yourself back. So you want your hips up, your pile, I'll just call it your blanket no matter what it is. Your blanket's going to be underneath your sacrum, not your low back. Pull your right knee in towards you and reach that left heel long and down to the floor. And then just keep hugging that right knee and stretching that left leg long. And then really flex the left foot and point the left foot. Flex and point. Notice how that stretch changes. You might get a drastic change. You might get a subtle one. But just notice where you feel it. And then whichever foot position feels like it's stretching your leg, no matter where it is in your leg, whichever position makes that stretch better, go ahead and hold it there. Some people feel this in their hip flexors. You can feel it in your calf. You might feel it in your ankle. Wherever you're getting a good stretch, just hold. And now let's take that right knee out towards the right shoulder. We're going to keep that left hip super heavy on the blanket though. We're getting that nice opening in the right hip. Still stretching through that left leg. And then take your right knee, cross it over your midline. Your right knee aims towards the left shoulder. You can pick your right hip up off the blanket a little bit and then keep that right shoulder heavy. And you'll feel that stretch throughout the side and the back of your right hip. And then bring your sacrum back to the blanket and center. Hug that right knee in one more time. Hug it in, hug it in, hug it in, hug it in. And then you can let it go. Left leg comes in. Right leg reaches out long. Connect the heel to the floor. Pull that left knee in. And then you can start flexing and pointing with the right foot. Notice the stretches. Notice if they change a lot, if they change a little. And then go ahead and choose either a flex or a point. Hold it there. Keep the right hip heavy on the blanket. Open your left knee out to the side. And then the left knee over towards the right shoulder. You can let that left hip come up. And then bring your sacrum back onto the blanket. Hug that left knee in towards your chest, right in center one more time. Good. And go ahead and release it. Take your blanket out from underneath and grab your strap or whatever you need to use for hamstring stretches laying down. You will loop around your right foot. Reach that right leg up high towards the ceiling. Square your hips, soften your shoulders, lengthen your left leg. And then slowly start guiding that leg closer towards you. So we're pulling on the strap. Stretching the back of that right leg. Either the hamstrings or the calf. You'll feel it where you need it. And then slowly start flexing that right foot so you're reaching your heel towards the ceiling. It's going to increase the stretch. And then back off a little bit so the leg moves away from you just a teeny tiny bit. And start moving it around. Circles, lines, any shape. We're just moving that leg around so we can feel all the different positions. You'll feel the stretch increase and decrease as you move that leg. Look for the place where you get the best stretch. You'll know it when you feel it. That place where you go, oh yeah, right there, right there. And hold it. One more deep breath. And then we're going to open this right leg out to the right side. You can support your strap however you need to, one hand, two hands. Keep your left hip heavy. And when we're here, slightly rotate your leg out or rotate it open. Turn your toes down towards the floor. That movement's coming from the hip, but you're going to feel it all the way down. Good. And then bring that leg back to center. Cross it over your midline. Right hip stays heavy. If you want to go deeper into this one, flex your foot. And then bring that leg back up to center. One last stretch through center. Bend your knee. And slowly release that leg down to the floor. Wiggle it out. And then let's get the left leg up. Go ahead and bend the right knee, put the right foot on the floor just while we're setting up. We'll stretch it out again in a second. Left leg up, square the hips, soften the shoulders, and then that right leg can lengthen and stay on the floor. Use the straps to gently guide your left leg closer towards you. And then when you're ready, gently flex that foot, try to reach that heel up towards the ceiling. Let that leg back off a little bit and then start making your little shapes, your little movements. Look for that perfect stretch. When you find it, hold it, breathe. And slowly open this leg out to the side. Once you get there, once you're able to maintain the stability in your right hip, go ahead and externally rotate the left leg and bring it back to neutral. Externally rotate it, bring it back to neutral. Or if you externally rotate and want to hold it there, that's also fine. And bring that leg back to center. Cross it over your midline again. Bring the leg back to center. One more breath. Slowly bend your knee and you can release that leg. Stretch that leg out long and wiggle it out. If the right leg wants to wiggle again too, that's fine. Good. Roll over to your side. You can bend your bottom knee. We're going to bend the top knee as well. Grab your top ankle, foot, pants, calf, whatever you can reach. And then so the setup is important. We want to make sure that the hip, knee, and ankle are all relatively at the same height. We don't want any of this rotating going on. That'll keep the knee much happier. And then secondly, if you do feel any pressure or stretch in your knee, go ahead and flex your foot. Get that foot really, really active. And that will hopefully alleviate that. Now in this position, we want to try to get that stretch right in the front of our hip and down the front of our thigh. If your knee feels great, you can pull your leg back behind you a little bit more. Keep that foot active. And just don't go any further than what your knee likes. And hold it for another moment or two. Good. And then gently release it back. Go nice and slow with that one. Stretch that leg out long. Bend it. Stretch it out long. Bend it. Stretch it out long. Other side. This side might be really different, so don't be surprised. You're going to grab whatever you can hold. The setup is you want the hip, knee, and ankle all on the same height. And then flex your right foot. And if your knee is feeling great here, go ahead and pull that leg back behind you a little bit more. One more breath. And then slowly let that leg release. Lengthen it long, bend it, lengthen it, Bend it one more time, lengthen, come on up to sitting. All right, sit with your legs out long in front of you and wider than hips distance apart. And then actually go a little bit wider, like wider than shoulders distance apart. That's what I was trying to come up with. And then fold your right leg in towards you. Twist over your left leg and then dive up and over it to get that stretch. So that dive creates the length and then the curve in the spine. We want to support that curve with our belly muscles the whole time. So belly muscles in, spine stays long. We don't want to curl in so much that we're crunching the spine. And just hold it there. Roll yourself back up to sitting. We're going to do the left leg again. Right. First comes the length, super, super important. And then dive over that leg. And roll it back up. Switch to the other side. Rotate over or twist over, lengthen, 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 and dive. Roll it back up. And one more. Ready? Up and over that leg. And roll it back up. Thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. I love stretching my hips and my hamstrings with you. It's always a pleasure. And I'll see you next time. Bye.